stripes. What's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. I believe that a hard day's work is worth a hard day's pay. I believe in the Lord above. We should walk his walk and I'll share his love instead of marching to the beat of the devil's parade. I will not be broken. I won't stand around and trust some bleeding heart. It's time we all stood up, be outspoken. Bring it on, I don't care who you are. I won't be broken.
And we will not be broken here on the Real Deal broadcast on this Thursday evening at 6 CDT, which is Central Daylight Time.
Be broken here on the Real Deal broadcast.
What's up? I hear myself twice. Y'all hearing that? Maybe not.
Yeah, I turned mine down. It was me.
Yeah, okay. That's what
I got you. I got you, Ben.
We're rocking. So we want to thank everybody for being a part of our broadcast tonight. And man, do we have a show. I mean, with a lot of the stuff that's gone on since the last time we were on, I mean, it's just like, I don't even know how you can keep up with everything, but we're going to try our best to do it. I'm Big Wheels Bo, one of the hosts. Also, one of the hosts with us is a Speed Racer.
Hey.
Brother Rob, looking good. And we have a special guest, Michael Anderson. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to have another special guest, too, which is going to take you.
Here she is. Here she is. Hang on. Let me bring her on.
And there she is.
We got to have somebody good looking on here to offset all these ugly old guys on here. So
there's Raven right there, the conservative warrior, and the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that everybody wants to have him come and do a little hula hoop with them. Here he is. Make welcome Terry the Patriot Large Anderson right there.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, man. We do have a great show ahead of us tonight. I mean, there's so much going on in the just in the world. Not even, I mean, you can look at it politically, or you can look at it as, this is something bigger than that going on with Trump's attempted assassination. I don't even know if you call that politically. You call that a God thing. So.
Well, I call it a conspiracy, but we're going to get it. We've already talked about that. We're going to put that at the last half of the show, the conspiracy thing. So we want to welcome our guest, Michael Anderson, and of course, Raven. We're so glad to have you on here tonight, Raven. Great seeing you, by the way.
It
beautiful, as always.
And she came on at short notice, and as always, so welcome. How are you doing tonight, Raven?
I'm doing great. Fired up as always. Great to be with you guys. I'll take my group. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you have met Speed Racer before. If he was on the last time you were on here, it was Speed Racer, and I go way back to Trump train runs and everything else in the past. And then, of course, Michael is with the Republican Liberty Caucus, and we're going to be doing a lot of work with them coming up here, speaking for American Patriot Relief and stuff. So he's a good guy. So welcome you guys, both of you. And Michael, how are you doing tonight?
The stage with both. Thank you.
Yes. How are you doing tonight, Michael?
Fantastic. It's great to be on. Just getting back from some work trips, and wanted to come out here support you guys. Looking forward to having you in Austin next week to speak.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We do. We're looking forward to doing more things together with you. So before we get into all these topics we have, let's go back to Raven. Raven, tell us what's going on with you. You're obviously not in the same time zone as me today. So where are you at and what are you doing, sister?
I am in Palm Beach, Florida right now. Going to be making my way back to Texas on the 8th of August. But basically, this is our time. This is the countdown. We've got less than 4 months left. We have a lot of work to do. So we have been zigzagging. I told you last time I was up to something big, and I'm unrolling it, and that's what it is. I am the president of the Roar Super PAC. I am the president of the Roar Mission, which is a veteran-led initiative to protect the ballot, to protect the vote, and to help our veterans. They're having their retirement obliterated and given to illegals. So we're giving them a commissary. We're getting sponsors in to help get them food, medicine, and resources. And we have the youth initiative. So three-pronged approach to getting our country back on track. And ROAR stands for Restore Our American Republic. And that's what we're going to do. So the youth initiative, teach them patriotism and how to fight for this country. And the veteran-led, because who better to protect our country than the ones who fought for it the first time?
Right.
And the super PAC, because politicians don't listen to people, they listen to money.
Yeah, they do. And so I'm glad that you're in there, because we know that whatever you're involved in, whatever you're doing, you're going to
Set them on fire. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and hold them.
You got that right.
Yeah.
We have to even, guys, be vigilant. And I want to remind everybody to stay vigilant. No matter what happens, do not let up. We were down here busting up. It's called Mi Familia Vota, which is Latin for registering illegals to vota in our elections. And I'm telling you, we can't have it. They were out there just handing out registration forms to illegals.
With no IDs. They were not even asking for IDs.
And that was in Florida. So I'm telling you, people, we can't get complacent. We got to keep moving. So you know me, I carry my big floodlight.
You gotta tell them that you vote, you get deported.
Come on now. That's our speed racer of exactly my point.
Hey, while we're doing intros, our campus correspondent is in studio. Big Casey.
Hey,
he
Casey.
might chirp in with the college point of view from now and again.
Yeah, to say that people are discussing this at the lunch table is kind of obvious. I gotta.
At the college level, that's what we like. And, we love it when we've got the view from the youth on as well, too. So, but yeah, thank you, Raven, for that. Michael, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you're with, and then we'll dig into some of these topics. We're just going to kind of do a round robin tonight and just talk about some of the issues that are out there. But go ahead, Michael, and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing, sir.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. Great to meet you, Raven, as well. And so my name is Michael Anderson. I'm the chair of the Austin Republican Liberty Caucus, also the vice chair of the Texas Republican Liberty Caucus. The easiest and most simple way to explain who we are, what we do, we are the Ron Paul Republicans of the GOP. We're the people that got together when Ron Paul was running for president in 08 and 12, and we decided to continue our organization with inspirations from continued liberty-minded Republicans such as Thomas Massie, Amash, and others as well, as well as Rand Paul and others as well. But so with what we do, we are mainly focused on the Texas level. And so we endorse candidates. We also make our voice heard about what bad candidates, what rhinos are running as well. But, at the same time, it's slim pickings in Texas. I'll be blunt with you guys. People make Texas out to be a really super duper conservative place. And in many ways, it's not. So we only made about 3 endorsements on the state level last year. And I think another 2 or 3 on the federal level in Texas. So, this is why I'm engaging with y'all, because we need to get these liberty-minded folks together. We got to stick together and, as Raven said, be resilient.
Yeah, there's way too many Dade Phelan type. Who else? There's a bunch of people way too many people like him. We have one right here in Kaufman County that we've been trying to get rid of.
We did get rid of a few this year. We had some good elections.
Lynn Stuckey got out, and that was a nice
Andy Hopper.
That.
Yep, that was we endorsed Andy Hopper. So
yes, we did. We did too.
Great. We're on the right page right now. So yeah, we do that. We also, one of the big initiatives we've been pushing in recent years is Defend the Guard. This is a state piece of legislation that essentially says to the federal government, you're not going to put our state guard into foreign wars. And I don't know if many of you are familiar about this, but the state guard is used in foreign wars. And I think I probably speak for all of us, or at least most of us, when I say I'm America first. And we got to keep our guards at home, especially in Texas. It's even more apparent because we always are having natural disasters like the recent hurricane. We have the border, and that's really where our guardsmen should be. It should be protecting our border and not some foreign nation's border.
And that's a good point, Michael. I wanted to just hit on that really quick. We've got a good patriot, Buzz Patterson, Colonel Patterson, out in California. His 18-year-old son graduated from high school at noon and got a letter telling him to register for draft service at 4 p.m. in the mail. And that's what people don't realize is these liberals love to start wars that they don't intend to fight. And it'll be a cold day anywhere in any universe before either one of my children are
Same
recruited
here.
and drafted to die for
Same here.
this communist agenda. Will not. And that's as the daughter of 2 retired Air Force lieutenant colonels and the wife of a retired C-17 pilot. Not my kids, not my family.
Amen. Yeah, and these are proxy wars at best, you know, but they're fighting for other countries, and yet, you know, we're putting our children at risk, in harm's way, you know, for their agenda. Ukraine is a perfect example, you know. So, and yeah, and now they've got the updated Selective Service Act that just came out, which is now going to penalize even further the kids that don't enlist or don't sign up for the Selective Service Act, right?
Yeah, thank the Lord. This one here will be too old in about 4 weeks.
What's the age limit? What's the age on all that?
Until you're up and through your 26. So he's going to be 27 on the 21st of.
Well, they're going to have to hunt my son down because he ain't signing up for nothing.
And my son identifies as 30.
But there you go. I'll have my son identifying with all kind of stuff to get him out of there. So we're good.
Hey, I identify as a flat roofer from now on. Don't put me up on these slope roasts. Well, that's a great segue. Let's talk about some other things, and y'all feel free to chime in on it. I mean, obviously this is something that's historic and you know, in our lifetime to see on live TV a assassination attempt on what they call a former president. I still call him my president.
He's my president.
Donald James Trump. They took a shot at him, and
lawful president.
Yeah, and they took the shot at him, and so now we're watching this in live time. You know, the whole process. This isn't like the Kennedy assassination with the new information society and everything that's out there. I mean, at their fingertips, we're seeing all these different things come about it, from the ineptness of the Secret Service and to the way that whole situation was handled. What do you guys think about all that's happened?
Well,
let's go ladies first, guys.
Okay.
Well, I'm telling you, I have a lot of thoughts, and you guys know. I mean, all kidding aside, both my parents were assigned to the Pentagon. I don't do conspiracy theories. You know, if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. And here's what we do know: in the tech age, where everybody had a cell phone, we know, depending on which one you believe, there was 30 minutes to 1 hour that they knew prior to President Trump taking the stage that there was a gunman on the roof. And there is no way that vegan latte dork got up there on the roof, okay, at 100 yards, you know, on a rooftop, unassisted, and with nobody else. And he was a registered Republican, like heck he was, just as much as Biden got 81 million votes. But the point is that, you know, it was that, and that was God. And that's what I told people. It was proof that God is faithful, because again, him having his head, the site was lined up perfectly, but he had 30 minutes to line it up. I mean, any one of my kids could have done that blindfolded with that kind of time. So what I'm saying is, this is what it was. And if you look back, here's the part that it gets really interesting, guys. Look back to Joe Manchin saying, wait till this weekend. Everybody's saying, wait till this weekend. Even Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was caught stealing delegates. I busted her doing that a few months ago, trying to steal delegates. And then all of a sudden she's not speaking. And then all of a sudden she is. She's coming to the RNC. That they had planned for him to be gone because they couldn't beat Trump. They were getting creamed in the polls. They know Kamala can't handle it. And now the Secret Service, who before this was guarding Cheetos, true story, okay? And they put her in head and put a 5'3" woman who couldn't holster her weapon to guard a 6'4" president. And Mayorkas, who does the buck stop with? Mayorkas, who is blocking testimony right now, who didn't get impeached because rhinos like Crenshaw and everybody did not show up for the vote, or would not vote to impeach this fool. So all of them were in it. So that's what you saw, is the deep state taking a hit on Trump, and it has backfired spectacularly. You gave this man street cred.
Yep.
Your guys can't walk across the stage. Ours got up fist bloody and said, "You missed, a-holes."
To say that people on campus have been memeing the hell out of this and turning Trump into basically a superhero
Yes.
through jokes is an understatement.
The understatement
awesome.
of the century, I bet, right, Casey?
There's a couple thoughts here. Number one is that when you have, they claim that they had sights on this guy for several minutes. And then other people saying, well, no, they didn't, or they didn't want to do something. But I feel that that's a lie, because when he finally took a shot, he has an AR-15 style rifle. So it's a semi-automatic, and he only got 8 shots off before he was, killed himself. So if they did not have sights on this kid, he would have gotten off 20 or 30 rounds.
No, they did have sights on him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They had sights on him.
They couldn't get the go order to be able to do anything about it.
Then why? Why? I mean, when you're driving a car and a cop can pull you over just for suspicion and go through all the details that they need to do just for that, but yet you're going to let a kid out there with an aim on the president with a semi-automatic rifle and not take him out? Dude,
they were told to stand down, Bo.
That's what I've heard.
The director of the Secret Service. Her name. Say her name. Her name is Kimberly Cheadle. Kimberly Cheadle's boss is Alejandro Mayorkas.
Hey guys, before we get into all the different nuances of this and theories or conspiracy theories or whatever, I mean, what I really want to do is talk more about, what this looks like and how this affects our election, and just the simple fact that he's still in there after everything he's done. And then we can, like I said, back half of this thing, we can talk all we want about conspiracy theories and things that we may even know that are true, so. But let's have our guest, Michael, chime in and tell me how you're feeling about this and what you think this looks like for the Republican Party and going forward.
Yeah. Actually, I have some insight on this as someone who works for a super PAC himself. I'm kind of in dark money, so I'm not going to really disclose where I'm from besides just the Republican Liberty Caucus. But I can tell you the biggest takeaway from this politically, right, electorally speaking, is that everybody already thought Trump was going to win, but now the Democrats are thinking that they're going to be losing down ballot, which is everything we would want. We don't want to just take the presidency. We want to take up and down the ballot because there's a couple, and I'll say this too. Democrats see the threat. Republicans are just rah MAGA right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Trump supporter, but we can't meme our way into freedom and liberty, right? So what we have to do is really push on the local level right now, state legislature, state senate, city council, really get these people turning out for your local elections, because what's going to happen if Trump wins, right? Or when Trump wins is in 2026, there's going to be a bloodbath on Republicans. So what we have to do is we have to have a majority proof on the federal level or in state legislatures. So that way, when 2026 rolls around, that we actually can take the blue wave or whatever they throw at us, because look, this is just politics. It is what it is. Right. When one president wins midterms, their party gets ousted. So we have a true opportunity here to make everlasting change, even into the years in the future. But my worry is that Republicans don't see that. They just see a Trump win on the horizon, and they're just kind of celebrating and popping champagne right now.
Right.
They do that, Michael, and you're correct. Our PAC, and that's what Roar has done. We've not only taken the initiative of protecting the ballot and getting people out to the vote. That's half the ballot, because it's not who counts the ballot, cast the ballot, it's who counts the ballot. Yep. It's also, we've taken an initiative to protect the first 100 days, because Michael is right. Him getting into office, believe it or not, is the easy part. We have to worry about what's going to happen after that in the first 100 days when they start this impeachment palooza crap all over again and all this other stuff because he's going to bust it up. But we got to go down the ballots, like he said. We got to get people out, and we got to keep that momentum going because now, while they scramble to figure out who they're going to put in, that's going to be a whole new wave of fight we're going to have to protect. And it's important to let people know this is symptomatic that you aren't controlling this government. They are deciding. They deemed Trump a threat, not we the people. Pelosi, the vodka queen, and Schumer and all these people did. So that's what we have to do, is return it to the people.
Well, Bo, what do you think about that?
Well, I know that there's going to be some challenges. I'm even kind of concerned about the fact that, that there may be a war started just to keep from having an election altogether. And there's a lot of things there that really scare me. I don't know about scare is the word, but concern me, because I know the left will stop at nothing. They're going to do, if they've allowed this kid to get off a shot and hoping to take him out, they won't stop at anything. That showed me that there's no holes barred about getting him away from being a president. And so what's going to stop that? That's the concern of mine, because I believe that could easily happen. And I think, what do they call it? The some sort of war pact act or something, that if we get into war, we can't have an election.
Yeah,
are y'all worried about that?
Well, that's what he's trying to do, but that's the we the people proof. I'm with you 100% on that. We deserve what we tolerate. So are we going to tolerate them stealing that's what Zelensky did. Yep. That's what he did, and that's what all his money is going to. He shut down the media, he kicked all that stuff out, and he declared himself dictator, and we're funding that.
Yep, and we've got to be careful that doesn't happen here. Rob, what do you think about that?
Yeah, luckily we still have somewhat of a margin in the House, so I'm not super afraid of them passing some kind of law to keep Biden in office. What a disaster that would be, though.
Well, isn't the law already in place? If we actually declare war, isn't there a sitting president law already in place?
Yes,
there is, but
so
they don't have Adderall to keep that guy up.
Yeah, they still need Congress to.
Well, which is why they're saying. I heard today that they're thinking within the next week that they're with Biden having COVID now, that they really are thinking within the next week they're going to have him step down.
If anybody thinks Biden really has COVID, I have some beach property I need to sell you in Dallas.
That's right. Oh, I believe you.
He doesn't have COVID-19. He has dementia 24.
Yeah, they said maybe Parkinson's, maybe Alzheimer's. He's just got old timers disease. That's what my grandfather used to call.
It's nonsensical. If you look at that, they're trying to post on the social media. He was in Vegas shaking hands and great. So it's one of two things: either he knowingly spread COVID, or it was bull crap. And if he didn't have any symptoms, then why was he tested?
Yep. And why was he out shaking hands if he did?
Exactly. So it doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah, it's all show. Let me ask you guys this. Let's go on to this it's this related topic, but the RNC convention's going on right now. A lot of people up there. It's been really good. Obviously pretty emotional with everything that's happened. But, out of this now, Trump has announced his running mate, J.D. Vance, U.S. Senator from Ohio. What do you guys think about that? And we'll start again with Raven.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a little bit of a surprise, but Trump is a master chess player. And I think strategically, it's probably the best move he could have made. One thing I do like about J.D. Vance is, he checks all the boxes. I knew the left was going to go crazy because he was a white male. I was waiting for that, and it queued up just as I thought it would. But he's a Marine veteran. And what I like is, even though he's well documented as being a never Trumper, he had the guts to be able to say, listen, that was me. I said that. I own that. But I've had a chance to get to know him, and that's a different. And that's one thing you'll never hear a Democrat do, is admit that they were wrong about something. So I feel like it's a good synergy, and he's going to be reaching the people we need to reach. The MAGAs are great, but we got to do more. We got to get across. We got to get more people in. And if we can get Vance in, was another Trumper, then that opens up the field to resources and votes we desperately need to unify.
Well, plus I like his age too. I like that he's younger. What is he, 34? Or he's pretty
39.
young. 39. That's pretty young for a senator right now. So
Pretty young for a politician in general.
it's right. That's right. Michael, would you have any thoughts on this, on the candidate and what's going on in the RNC?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about the top three candidates that that the media has been throwing around, which I kind of think is a little bit of BS. You talk about Marco Rubio, Bergstrom, and JD Vance. I think that Marco was kind of BS because you can't have two vice president, president from the same state. But
Correct.
I think out of those three, Vance is clearly the correct choice. Me personally, I would rather have Vivek, or Vivi, as I like to call him.
I like him a lot too.
Oh yeah. So I mean that's the non-compromise position, but I think JD Vance is the right man for the job. And look, I'm going to support Trump. I do support Trump, but just when Trump makes bad statements and does bad policies, when JD Vance does it, I'm going to call it out and criticize it the same way. And I encourage all of us to do the same thing.
Same.
Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, first of all, love seeing my girl Ajua at the convention.
Oh yeah, it's been great watching her up there. She's really lighting it up too.
Love her. On the VP pick, my guy was Byron Donalds. I thought he was plenty MAGA. He checked a lot of boxes. But however, on JD Vance, Mark Halpern said this the other day that he's Marine Corps, graduated top of his class at the Ohio State University in 2 years. Then went on to get his law degree at Yale. Then became a successful entrepreneur. He speaks MAGA with an Ivy League accent.
I like that.
I thought that was pretty
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we probably don't have a lot of people chiming in tonight is they're probably all watching the RNC tonight. So I didn't even think about that.
Negative on JD Vance. He worked at the same law firm where Barack and Michael met. Big Mike.
Yeah. Hopefully it didn't rub off on him. What do you think, Bo? What's going on?
That came from Trixie. That came from Trixie, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know a lot about him, but I'm hearing positive things, and the things I really trust Trump. The bottom line, I mean, I think after his ordeal with Pence, that
learned a lot.
I would think that he going into this situation, he does not want another one of those, and I do believe that President Trump is smart enough not to repeat that circumstance. So I'm all in.
Right. Yeah, and there's just a lot going on up there too. I mean, there's been what was it? Matt Gaetz went up to what's his face and blew him up on his interview. He went up to the old Speaker of the House, McCarthy. Did you see that? Epic. That was epic, wasn't it? They did the video and they put the little shades on him afterwards. He was
That's right.
He went right out. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's it's been great convention. But and I did see a clip from a Democrat, a Black Democrat lady was watching it, and she said I just decided that I wanted to watch the RNC this year, and she had a thing that she put out there, and she said, I'm in tears. She said I never knew the love and the patriotism and the there's no black or white, there's just common love for our country, the unity that's there. And so there's been a lot of that going on. Some of these things that have happened with the assassination attempt and everything, people are poking right now. And it's, I've heard some people say what's taken away from the message of the and even like Matt Gaetz doing that with McCarty, the message of unity. But you know what? We can be unified, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to hold people accountable. We're not going to call them out when they are. We've learned our lesson. We've been ran over by the Democrat machine and by the rhinos before. And, the good news is people are waking up, on all spectrums of the conservative. We see this even when Michael and I were talking about with the independents and the people that are a little bit more centered. We're starting to pull them over, and it's awesome to see. It really is. I mean, you're seeing right now just an upswell of people that were Democrat voters last year that are, our last election, that are just saying, no way, man, Trump, man. So it's awesome to watch.
And embrace those people. I mean, we can sit there going, oh, you did vote for, but we're past that. We got to bring them in. But that's the part that gets me. And Michael was so right about that, about, each one of us, at least the ones I know, will call out when we see it. So that label they give us that we're a cult and that we follow our orange leader. And, did anybody see how Biden looked after that debate? He looked pretty orange to me. But the point is
yellow.
that's what people need to understand is we will call it out. It's just and like Michael, the pickings for who we're going to endorse and support is so slim. There's so many out there. But again, you can't drain the swamp if you don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing that when Biden finally came out about the assassination, was talking about unification or to unify. I have a problem with them not being able to get with their constituents and tell them to stop getting on social media and claiming, well, he missed and sorry he didn't get shot. And, you can't have unity when there's so much hatred going towards the fact that this shooter missed our president. I'm going like, you might want to tone that down a little bit before you start talking about unification.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time.
They ginned all that up, Bo. They were saying that comparing him to the cover of Newsweek having a picture of Trump with
Hitler.
a mustache and a picture of Hitler next to him. All the kind of he's an existential threat to democracy.
And the teleprompter didn't tell him to unify. That's why he didn't do it.
Right.
Well, what I'm trying to, what I'm going for is that's if they want that, then they better start at home first before they start going out anywhere else, or we're going to call them out on it ourselves.
And we're going to have to. And I encourage everybody to keep the pressure, because all these media who are now trying to salvage their reputations, they all knew. Every single one of them knew that this man was impaired, and they have been gaslighting the American people for 3.5 years. And now they're like, we're shocked. He's a vegetable, really?
Can you see that right there? The fake news network.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just don't let them get away with that, Patriots. We can still unify, but call out the media who have allowed him to, they allowed him to put our country in danger like this. They called us cheap fakes and said that we were conspiracy theorists. And now we've got 12 million people, just tearing up the country. It's probably 12 million, it's probably higher than that. But that has all happened while the media just kind of rolled them in on the welcome mat and allowed them to do this. So they own as much of this as Biden does.
Yeah, Raven, I love what you mentioned about the cheap fakes when they were coming out and saying that all of the video that you've ever seen of Joe Biden fumbling and stumbling and bumbling was all deep fake video. And so, the question, then you ask the question, okay, if it's a cheap fake, show us the real tape.
Right.
Crickets.
We saw it during the debate.
The original. Show us the unedited version. Go ahead. Bring it.
Just look at the debate. That's right.
They can't because they're lion sacks of poo.
But then on the other hand, they claim, and I've heard some of this, is that they claim that the shot on President Trump was staged.
Okay, yeah,
okay, that's beautiful right there.
You're Trump, right? And you're talking about staging this so they can get a bump in the polls. Okay, Mr. 20-year-old marksman, I need you to shoot it in my head, and I need you to miss by less than 2 inches.
And we also want to say the coincidence that Donald Trump is a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's going to strip all of this, but let the record show not one shot taken at Joe Biden, not one shot taken at Obama, not one shot taken at Clinton. So they can go ahead with that of anybody who was staging to shoot themselves in the ear. And Joy Reid talking about, we don't know if it was glass or a bullet. And I'm like, no, we know you're an idiot. Go sit down.
Yeah.
There are so many different things to talk about that, guys. I want to give the end of this for it. I do have one topic I want to bring up real fast. And we talked about this a little bit last week, but it was just Bo and I on last week. And I'd like to get our guest thoughts on this. Is some of the Supreme Court rulings that came down in the last month here, from the Rahimi case and the 1512 for the J6ers, the Chevron case, all these different cases that came out of the Supreme Court, and how that is going to affect the landscape of our court system and our whole judicial system, but even then our legislative process going forward in the next 4 years. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I figured I'd give Michael the first swing if he wanted it.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
Can I
not.
make that like that game show? Can I call somebody?
Gonna phone a friend.
Yeah, can I call a friend?
A lifeline. Hey, Bo,
Yeah, lifeline.
your mic's hot, but it's hot.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so admittedly, I don't pay attention as much to the Supreme Court, but I mean, overall, I believe this is good news. We saw good news for Trump. I think you're alluding to good news for J6ers, and then a friend of mine, Michael Cargill, recently just won his case against the ATF, making bump stocks legal again. So these are just absolutely great court cases that we're getting. We can see. And I think we can see this in many ways more than one. If I may separate this just from the Supreme Court, I think you can see this in culture. You can see this in politics. Conservatism is becoming normal, right? I mean, this is something Elon Musk even said on X the other day. He said the Democrats have gone so far to the left that Republicans are center now. We're center right, if you will. And it's even kind of why Trump's our president. I mean, Trump wasn't a Republican for 20 years, right? So I think this is just overall great showing for us. Again, good showing for what we could look for in the presidential election. And I'll just go back to what I was saying earlier because I like repeating myself. Now's the time to take action. We got to take advantage of this because we may never see a time like this ever again for Republicans. And if we let this slip.
That's right. And all these cases that are coming through, and my case is involved in some of this as well, but if we don't take and fight that up to the next level, get out of these federal district courts, get up into the appellate courts, get to the Supreme Court, and have these rules be not just changed, but then followed up with other laws that back them up, because that's what they need to do. You can't just have that one law and then they come in, or that one Supreme Court ruling, and then they come in and they change it with another one. So we have to stay vigilant in that area too. You know, there's 3 branches of our government for a reason. So Raven, what do you think? You've seen lots of this. We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years.
Yes. And I watch it very carefully, and I've been on all of them. They are all good. The Chevron, huge. A lot of people aren't paying attention to that, but that has to do with how they fix your gas prices and supply and demand. That's huge, especially as right now they are working on devaluing the dollar and they're trying to remove us as the currency. And if they do that, they can call our debt in. So we've got a real problem going on the foreign. And we've got, the 1512, huge, because we've got our J6ers. People need to hear that while you're with your family right now, while you guys are in the comfort of your homes. J6ers are still in prison. Jake Lang still in prison right now with yet to be charged. He's been moved 15 times. He's going on hunger strikes. And again, people don't realize that our government, the same one that bailed out BLM riders, is trying to put the hammer. We know that this committee is illegitimate. We know that there's a lot of things going on. What's being done about it? I think Mike Johnson is making a strongly worded tweet as we speak. And I'm like, guys, we have to stay. But the last part of that is also to remind these people now, what do the Democrats go to? Whenever they lose, we always go back to Roe versus Wade. We always go back to abortion. Let the record show that a Roe v. Wade was overturned on Biden's watch. I know he was asleep for it, but it was still on his watch. So at the end of the day, the rights go back to the states, which is where they belong. And here's a little known fact. The Jane Doe who was Roe died. Her last video before she succumbed was saying this was the worst thing she was ever a part of, and she hated, and that she didn't do it for freedom. She did it because she was scared and young and broke. And so I want to remind people, but lastly, what I want to say on that, Terry, is these all should not be going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is supposed to be the final authority for these egregious cases. The Biden thing has been cranking this illegal butchering of our Constitution to where everything is winding up at the Supreme Court right now. Look at the Constitution. It says a limited form of Republican government. And all we've seen is them stepping on, the second A isn't absolute. No, that's what absolute means. It means that it's absolute. And AOC, I'm going to impeach 2 Supreme Court justices. Okay, here's the separation of power thing we need to remind bartenders about that are going on. So this is Patriots. It's good that the Supreme Court finally kicked into gear, but it's also guys, we should not be going to our last resort as a commonplace. And that's where we have to start getting on these rhinos and sellouts who are, what happened to, we're not going to spending bills. We're not going to give them any money unless the border's secure. What happened to that?
Well, and if you go back to the Chevron case, and I think that thing is bigger, it's wider and more expansive than people really think that is, because what that is they've had the DOJ and the FBI in the ears of the courts, directing the courts on how to rule on these cases. And what they've done is now the Chevron case says you can't do that. You can't have this weaponized DOJ that is speaking, or the weaponized FBI or ATF or whoever is coming in and they're saying, well, and the judges basically and the prosecuting attorneys are basically waiting on the recommendation of these bureaucracies. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It never was.
You have unelected bureaucrats who are making policy. That's what came out of this Chevron. How is that different than Jill Biden running the country for her husband?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's even bigger than that. I mean, it's the security stuff that Terry's talking about. It's everything. It's down to, Michael, when we were backstage beforehand, we were talking a little bit about tobacco harm reduction. It reaches into the FDA, the CDC, like with the FDA, for example, you have then the drug companies. If you're the director of the FDA, your next job is a board position on some big pharmaceutical, making a 9-figure salary, because when you were at the FDA, how do you think all the crap, why do you think the stuff in our grocery store is poison? Because they are all on the take. You can't buy anything in a box because it's got freaking poison in it. You just look at the label, look where it says bioengineered food ingredients. It's in half the stuff that's in the grocery store, because people, and so it's the FDA, it's the CDC, it's everything in the big government, right? So they will no longer be able to just tell us what to do. I mean, this with Trump winning on the heels of Chevron, we can dismantle the bureaucratic
There's the
state.
trick. There it is right there.
Including, now we were talking about Project 2025 beforehand too, including the elimination of the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Yes.
Since when, this started under Carter. So it's not like the Department of Education has been around forever, and they are poisoning the minds of our children. Get rid of it.
That was it, Speed Racer. That was a mouthful there. And then reminding people that their organic fruit is being watered with water that was treated with Roundup. So they've got a plan on everything.
But what's your thoughts on this? And then also, go ahead.
Well, I kind of take a little, throw you a curve here a little bit, but I kind of think that what you're talking about with everything that's been going on that's so left over the last 4 years for sure, is that they don't even want their best candidate to even be in the ring, which is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I mean, and as a Democrat looking at it, he's not even in that realm that they are, because they're so far left. That's why for the longest they wouldn't give him any security. They were trying to stop him from getting on ballots. I mean, in places to get votes to be able to be on ballots. And so it just shows you how far left these people have gone to all these extremes to make it to where we are in a battle for our freedom, period.
And the only reason he got security is because of Trump.
Right.
Finally make my point. The whole Chevron case is, to dovetail off of what my dad said, the most apolitical of my personal friends had asked me, hey, what's your thoughts on this? And my thoughts were similar to Dad, in the fact that it would set the precedent for dismantling a lot of the bureaucracy that prevents actual good from being done in this country. And it was, keep in mind that this is a person who has in the past voted Democrat before, but ever since kind of meeting me and kind of understanding my politics.
Hey, Casey, and I just love the fact that
he says it's Democrats. As soon as you said Democrat, he went crazy.
I just love the fact that there's that kind of discourse going on in your school. I mean, that absolutely is amazing. That's the hope of our future.
I've met people who used to be Democrats and now becoming more
conservative.
Yes, either because of
Hey, Speed Racer, your hair got cut off. Oh, that's you, Casey. Sorry, I see.
Speed's talking with Trixie
for the
Well,
cartel.
that's what I was saying a while ago. That the fact that the agendas are so far left, and it's past even somebody that would probably be a good candidate for the Democrat Party. They don't want that. They want somebody that's totally wrapped up and taking this whole agenda of America down the tubes, and they've done a job of it.
And they've got all that dismantling. That shows you why they took a shot at Trump.
Yes.
Because that's essentially, this isn't about they think he's this, they think he's that. They know that all this corruption, all this this deception that they have leveled on the American people
lies
is over as soon as Trump gets in. That's why they are so desperate to get him out of, keep him from getting into office, because then the American people can see, and it is really basically the nuking of the Democrat Party, because that's what has happened. They have run out even the people, only the staunch crazies, you know, are
Right.
left there.
Yeah,
because
that's what I was
they've
getting
run
at.
them out.
It goes beyond the Democrats and the rhinos, because we're talking about there is no Democrat and Republican. There is a uniparty.
Deep
The uniparty is exactly and the bureaucracy that we've built since Chevron is a big money cow.
Before Chevron, right?
That the deep state sucks money out of our tax dollars, and it's all done through all of these thousands of agencies, and the money just gets spent on nothing. It's like the money we're spending in Ukraine. Where'd it go? What? Give me an
Well,
accountability.
500,000
where it
went.
went.
500,000 went for a new car for the leaders
No,
of
that
life.
was 1.6 million
Yeah,
went
it was
for that new
expensive.
Bugatti. But I can
Oh.
tell you, I can see the $20 million mansion in Vero Beach that Zelensky bought, you know, a few months back. So we know exactly where that money is going. It is going into shoeboxes for people in Ukraine who $1 million here, $1 million there. And that's why it just keeps going. And then it kicks back to all of these politicians who
Well,
are
sure it
getting
does.
donations and everything else. That's why they won't. Anybody who's voting for that is part of it.
Mhm.
Hey, Bo, before we jump off into this, let's go full on theories after this. But did you have a scripture for us tonight?
Well, I did.
Okay.
Let me read this for you. It's a little
We
bit.
better pray. We're going to pray it up before we talk up some Christ before we jump off into the Netherlands.
Well, before I read a little bit of something in the spiritual realm, is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says, on second thought, I'd like to cancel my request for Secret Service protection.
I've seen
Great
that
point.
meme. Yep. That is
Good.
So in the Bible, the concept of blood on the right ear in Leviticus 8:22-24 and 14:28 serves as a visible mark for consecration, signifying that the person is dedicated to God's service and has been set apart for a specific purpose. This act represents a physical and spiritual transformation, preparing the individual for their sacred role. This is the breakdown of the significance, and it goes on.
Right on.
So what was that scripture again? Leviticus.
It was Leviticus 8:22-24, and then it's also, you can look at Leviticus 14:28. So there's a little bit of maybe spiritualness going on with this blood in the right ear.
A lot of bit of spiritualness that it went through his ear and not his brain.
Well,
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's start with our illustrious conspiracy theorist in-house, and that would be Speed Racer. So, Speed Racer,
Where do you want to start?
I don't. Well, let's see. We only got 15 minutes, so just give us your quickest take on what you got, and we'll give everybody else a chance to kind of respond to that. Okay.
Yeah. So, everybody knew this was going to happen. The stock market knew that. We were talking beforehand about the Austin Wealth Partners. It's an investment firm down where Michael's at. It's basically James Baker and the Bush family. They've never bought more than 16,000 shares of anything, and they bought 12 million shares of DJT, Truth Social, that stock, and did a put order. And what a put order is, said, on this date, I want you to buy this much of that. I already have the rights to buy it, so to buy it on that day, July 12th, the day before the. So it goes. It's not, it's not, like I said before, it's not Democrat, it's not Republican, it's the uniparty deep state.
Sure.
Hey, did I
It-
see
it is-
something about that stock rise from $38 a share to $1,200 a share?
Yes.
Like overnight. And so here's the thing. So you got people and so watch them now later go, well, Donald Trump knew about that. That's why he did this, or he was affiliated somehow. But they didn't. These are the people behind the scenes that knew what was going to go down
Yes.
that day. And they're going to make money off of it.
I don't care what we've put Donald Trump through. There's no way he was going to stand by and go, okay, we're going to do this fake shot at your head. And we promised that the marksman is really good.
Yeah,
he's going to miss by this much.
Right. Well, you
And
got
it'll
the
look like,
Dems saying that it was
you
a
get graze
ketchup.
your ear.
They were saying it was ketchup or stage blood or whatever. But dude, you saw the shot, and actually, when the shot happened, I don't know if any of y'all watched or seen this, but when the shot happened, there was a guy went down right behind him.
Yes.
And I think that's the guy.
And I'm pretty sure that Corey Compatore's blood was not fake when it was all over his family.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But
we know that
plus
this
they
is
have
real.
a picture of the bullet in the air right behind his head.
Oh, did they get that? That's
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Well, so, and there's more, Rob, and I'll let you expound a little bit more because there's so much stuff about the shooter, where he was at, how he got there, all these different things. And then, let's jump in and let everybody else talk. But what do you think about that? How'd that shooter get in there? How'd that ladder get there? They said he put the ladder in his truck. It was a 10-foot ladder. He was driving a Hyundai Sonata. There's no way,
So you remember Chris Kyle?
Yeah,
of course.
Fallen hero, great.
Yes.
Okay, so the only marksman ever to get a longer shot than him was the guy in Canada. I'm trying to remember, it's Alexander or something rather. Anyway, 2.1 miles. Saw an interview with him the day after, 2 days, would have been Monday. There is no way he could have done that without help.
Right.
How did he get on the building? How did he get to the building?
Correct.
How did he get up there with why was there a ladder there?
Why did they have the sights on him for 3 minutes and not take the shot?
Well, that's my biggest thing right there. And then I understand too, I've heard, I can't really back this up with fact, but supposedly he got fired for disobeying orders.
He was
sniper
arrested. He was fired and arrested.
So, I mean, I don't know how much more conspiracy you can have than that. When you're there to hopefully protect the president, you got to bead on him for 3. I know that Chris Kyle, for example, I mean, he was putting beads on kids because they were walking around with bombs strapped to them. And you know what? They said, if you see something about to go down, you got to take them out. And these are kids. And here's a 20-year-old that's about to take our president out and watching him for 3 minutes. And you don't do nothing about it. And then fire the guy for doing it. I mean, what more conspiracy thing do you want than that, besides the fact that, you wanted him gone? Somebody did, and the Secret Service has to take, and FBI has to take full responsibility for that, and they all should be fired of upper management, period.
But they're not. She's bucking it all the way up. She's not taking any responsibility for this. She's just saying that's right.
Well, what else do you expect out of a left nut?
For this.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to go down for this. Everybody, that's why they chose a 20-year-old like this as somebody that was easily expendable. And you realize that when this came out, this was apparently the only 20-year-old with no digital footprint. So apparently they claimed he had no Facebook or social media presence. Then they claimed they couldn't get into his phone. Then they removed 2 of the police officers who tried to assistance afterwards, were transferred to different departments. They didn't also show that he was identified or dressed up like a woman. They're showing that picture that they're showing right now is old. The one that was taken of him 2 days before is one where he is dressed up like a woman and is using woman pronouns. So you notice what the pattern between the last few mass shootings and this trans thing, they're not talking about that either. And has anybody flat out just asked Biden, Captain Brain Fart to his face if he actually did it or had something to do with it? But then you put a 5'3" security guard in front of Trump, and then that was not his permanent detail. That was a temporary detail because Jill needed the permanent detail earlier that day unexpectedly. Right. Okay, and then she can't holster her weapon. Okay, but other than that, it was this all reeks to high heaven and just proof that, again, he wasn't taken out because they're afraid of him being a dictator. He was taken out because the deep state is on life support.
Right. Those pictures of the transgender pictures of him are dressed up in drag or whatever you want to call it. I posted that yesterday, and had tons of hits on it. But a lot of people are like, "No, that's not him. That's not him. Different jawline." And then I found one picture after I put that one up. I found one that has 3 pictures of him, different angles with that picture of him dressed like that, and you can definitely tell it's him. And people are like, "Listen, do you not think that they're going to do whatever, however?" And people are like, "No way, it can't be." I mean, what have we been through? If you can't critically think at this point in the game, you are doomed to be a sheep for the rest of your time.
And here's the last thing, Terry. I know we're short on time, but I want to add in. Did everybody else get the reports that his parents called the police the morning of the rally and reported him missing? And so why do you report? He's 20. He's not a child. So why did you report him? There is a report right now. Dan Bongino had it on his show. There is a report from the police that they called and said, "Look, we got to find him." So they had some cause to concern that he was missing or that he was armed or something had happened. Well, his father purchased the gun.
Well, he used his father's weapon, so that might have been the concern they had when they not finding him and that weapon's missing. So I would have done the same thing.
Yes, but again, they're not reporting that in the
they're
media.
Not going to report nothing
when that came on the radar.
What was the shooter?
See, Judy Beard's got on here. Wonder how many will die mysteriously or suddenly or whatever. Michael, what do you think? We hadn't heard from you on this. The conspiracy thing. What do you think about some of this stuff and what that looks like to you, bud?
Yeah, first off, I mean, I think Judy has a great question. I mean, that's the real question. How many people will be involved that are involved will die mysteriously? That's how you tell if this is a conspiracy theory or not. Look at it about 5-10 years later and see how many people are still around.
Or maybe 6 months to a year.
Yeah, honestly, it could be even sooner because stuff coming out. Look, I don't trust the government. I don't have a lot of conspiracy theories on this. I think it's really interesting that you see a disagreement between Secret Service and law enforcement. And so it really seems like there's some fishy stuff going on with Secret Service. Mm-hmm. And really, I mean, you want to hear the biggest conspiracy theory that's going to piss off the left. And I don't think I don't think you guys are going to think it's spicy, but it's the one that pisses off the left.
Bring it.
This is really divine intervention, right? You had a law enforcement officer try to engage with the shooter, and then the shooter realized, "Oh crap, I don't have time," and immediately started firing off shots and missed. Also, this is a guy. This guy is someone who tried out for his high school rifle team and ended up not getting on there because he's a terrible shot. So. Look, I have family members that I've really gotten onto because they're like, Trump's the Messiah and stuff, and I'm like, look, we only have one Messiah, that's Jesus Christ.
Right. It ain't DJT, that's for sure.
Exactly. But I think that like you said, we haven't done critical thinking and we don't have true faith if we don't look at what happened that day and say that's an act of God.
Amen.
And even with how amazing and spectacular it looked, Donald Trump is literally WWE. Everything he does is going to look great. So it's not a Trump conspiracy. It's a Secret Service conspiracy. And you guys may be right onto some stuff too that I haven't even thought about.
Well, the thing is too, is that, we're talking about this being a conspiracy. When we say this is God, divine intervention, to the left, that sounds like a conspiracy theory.
That's why I said it. That's exactly. Going to be the one that makes them mad the most. They're going to say point. That one right there. That's going to piss off the left the most because we're bringing God into it and we're bringing our faith.
Well, and then just one last thing, and we are going to start winding down here. But there was
what made Trump twitch his head?
Yeah, that.
You don't think that was the Holy Spirit tapping him on the shoulder? And what?
So here's another.
No weapon formed against you.
Here's another wrinkle. Here's another wrinkle that hasn't been discussed and or hasn't been played out quite enough yet, but they're talking about the second shooter possibly on the water tower, but they kind of debunked that. But there's different angles that you look at and you see fire shots coming in from different angles. It couldn't have been from where he was at. So, was there another shooter?
an actual like
Good.
CIA marksman
Mhm.
guy as opposed
Yeah.
to the bozo. That sounds familiar. They used that
Yeah.
playbook before, Lee Harvey
Yeah,
Oswald.
yeah, exactly. There's
Martin
a,
Luther King, JFK.
that's
him,
right.
him and 5 CIA snipers just
On
asked
the
George Bush
grassy
Jr.
knoll. That's right. So, I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about, you guys. We could go on for hours.
Yeah, Trump's on stage. We got to go.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Yeah.
He's getting his
So,
nomination like as we speak.
Izzy, that's why there's nobody on here tonight.
That's right. We've lost our
Raven-
viewership.
Raven, tell us a little bit about what you're doing again, real quick. How we can get in touch with you. How we can help, real quick.
You can just reach out to me. You always know how to find me, Terry, but
I do.
theroarpack.com, theroarmission.com, ravenharrison.com. And I'll be out there. Michael, look forward to working with you in the future again, because we need all hands on deck. And that's what it's about, really uniting the party and getting behind him. We can't carry this cross for President Trump, but we sure as hell can hold his arms up while he holds it. So that's where we need to be, is let's show him how it's done.
Perfect. Michael,
All hands on deck.
how
all
about
flags
you?
on
How
truck.
can we get help you out and help support what you're doing, young man?
Oops, you muted, brother.
Are you muted, Mike?
Thank you very
There
much.
you go.
So, yeah, you can go to so Republican Liberty Caucus. You can go to our national site at rlc.org, or you can, you really want to help me out, support the Texas RLC. We're also doing a firearm giveaway right now. So if you go to tinyurl.com,
That ought to make the left happy.
yeah, right.
Yes.
tinyurl.com/Texas RLC. So $45 membership gets you a chance to 9 entries to win a rifle. So take advantage.
When with the bump stock?
Go to
Come on.
That was a great. We were talking about the courts earlier. It was a great decision. It made me an unfelon.
hang on. Let me
Woohoo!
for you.
Next up is Terry.
That's right. Working on mine still. Well, hey, listen, we're going to kind of wrap this up. Bo, take us out. I want to thank our guests for coming on. Our co-host, obviously, Big Wheels Bo Carver does an amazing job. Speed Racer brings so much to the table. And Raven and Michael, what a nice mix we had tonight. Appreciate you guys so much. Bo, tell the people how to get a hold of us and what's going on, bud.
Lost your audio.
You're muted, or you're gone there, buddy. You're still gone.
Let's have the interpretive dance, Bo.
Can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
got you now.
Okay, I have to actually hit the button. We're here every Thursday, the Real Deal broadcast.
You're out again. Out again.
It's the low
Yeah.
music. Did he bump off again?
He did.
Oh,
Every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Daylight.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You got it. Somebody grab it. Somebody tell him how to get a
All
hold
right.
of it.
And I'm back again.
You're there.
All right. Be
Don't
sure and
move.
join us. Get out there and support the Republicans and the people that need to know what's going on in reality. See you next Thursday.
All right, guys. God bless. We'll see you all next week.
Peace out,
okay.
y'all.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Raven.